It's now time to go live with Inside Sports Talk Radio on Power 95 FM with host Ian Lowe and co-host Paul Mason. This presentation of Inside Sports Talk Radio has been brought to you by Lipman's Group of Companies, Strike Health and Wellness, Shakira Warren of the Argus Group, Global Atlantic Financial Group, and Hit for Life with Dave Walker. Now, let's join Inside Sports Talk Radio.
And good afternoon and welcome to Inside Sports Talk Radio on this Monday afternoon. It's November the 9th, 2020. I remember the other day saying it was January. Now it's November. I'm Ian Rollison with my co-host, Mr. Al Basin to my right, and Mr. Don Baxter on the other side of the glass. Straight ahead. Good afternoon to the gentlemen.
Good afternoon, sir.
Once again, Monday.
Inside Sports. All is well?
All is wonderful, man. No complaints yet.
No complaints. Not yet.
No.
Looking forward to any complaints?
No, I mean, listen, somebody's going to find something to complain about.
Okay.
So, you know what? Ride the wave, as they say.
Well, some people just don't need to complain because they have no facts to complain, if you get where I'm going.
Well, but you see, he's got 45 reasons to want to stay in the house. And one of the main reasons is because he knows once number 46 is confirmed.
It's confirmed.
No, I'm saying confirmed.
Oh,
number 45 we'll be looking at 45 years for the first charge, 45 years for the second charge.
Yes, I concur. I concur, sir. I concur. All right.
You said a lot to look forward to.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of time.
He's having a meltdown, they tell me. I wish I had a video camera on the wall, him having a meltdown. I'll laugh at him.
You like Twitter so much, put it right on Twitter.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
The crazy
Twitter,
the
Instagram,
crazy
news,
part,
Facebook,
all of it.
yeah. The crazy part, though, you have people that you would have 5 years ago, 6 years ago, would have looked up to and said, you know, that person talking has a lot of credibility behind their name. You hear them now, and you're like, this guy has lost his mind.
But your point is valid. Remember when he was nominated, and people said, "Be careful what you pick."
Yeah.
People were saying that in 2016, so people had a hint of what he was all about. The rest is history. I'll leave it like that. Anywho, whatever he is, I was breakdown and all. That didn't happen. I'm Ian Rollins again. So our guest today is Mr. Larry Khaki Smith, well-known football coach in Bermuda. He coached Thomas the Trojans, North Village, and youth football. His resume, his CV speaks volumes, and he's back in the helm again. He's out there taking care of his health, out there loving football. He's a great Liverpool fan. Never walks alone and enjoying life.
He was walking down the corridor just now by himself.
No, he was walking for Arsenal fan.
No, he was walking by himself. So all you Liverpool people are talking about you never walk alone. You're always walking alone. Anything with you should shed it.
Never walk alone, sir.
Okay, all right.
You saw a person bring him down to the corridor, didn't you?
Yeah, and I saw him walk back by himself.
And the person was following right behind.
No, they were trying to run away from you because you were talking about Arsenal.
Oh, well, he was following Liverpool, running from one Liverpool person into another arms of Liverpool.
Okay, well, you see it how you actually, you know what? You see it like 45 sees it. Your way. Yeah.
Hey, that's an insult.
Not to worry. Let me call Manchester City up.
I'll take care of that. That's not a problem.
Oh, you didn't take care of it yesterday?
But I'm trying to explain to you. I don't have a problem with Manchester City. I'll walk with them any day. That's my point.
We're sure, man, I need it.
I have no problems with that. Matter of fact,
go on speed dial.
I go on Battlefield. I have over for dinner.
Okay. Oh, right. Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh, hey. Can Rudy come? Giuliani?
Let me speak to his daughter first.
Okay. All right.
Also joining us today will be Juju Waldron. Both of Juju Waldron. As you know, he lost his leg in an accident earlier this year, and he's a person that is pledging for people to obviously ride safe and sound, no drinking and driving. He was very popular in the sporting community, coming along with the rest of our sports club and of course Nandy Town. He's definitely speaking volumes to Bermuda. We've had him on earlier this year, and I'm going to get back to it. You got to go crack. Someone just sent you a WhatsApp message. I haven't checked my phone, but He'll be joining us
to the
today.
person that just texted me.
Uh,
You walk alone every day by yourself, so don't give me that.
Another Liverpool
Yeah.
fan.
Oh, you Liverpool people. You're walking alone. You were walking alone yesterday to the finish line. Okay, good.
Okay, good. All right. And then also we'll be having Gloria Burgess of the August group joining us today. She will be talking about diabetes. As you know, this is Diabetes Month, and she'll be joining us at 2:15. And the importance of, especially those who have type 2 diabetes, we'll be discussing those matters and more. And then later on, we'll have Clifford Roberts, just recapping his successful event held yesterday. Men on the Run.
5K.
5K. He'll be joining us later today in studio. So if you have any questions for us or please, you can always give us a call at 292-9595. Of course, you know, Mr. Larry Smith's always on time. He'll be joining us at another 7 minutes from now. So he'll be giving us an update on what he's doing with Somerset and what he's seeing changes in football and so forth. Again, he's got an extensive resume. He'll be joining us today. As for you, Mr. Bays, we always recap on the weekend. And how was it for you?
It was a very, very busy sporty weekend. Saturday, obviously, we had the cross-country event at Botanical Gardens, the Caribbean Equestrian Federation's Dressage Challenge, kind of interesting setup where they had cameras, and as the dressage riders were taking part, they videotaped it and then sent it to an overseas judge who will send back the results once they go through all the videos. This weekend, we'll actually see the jumping portion of that take place, which they're trying to do the same thing. Then we also had on Saturday afternoon, we had the World Tennis Finals at the National Sports Center. Full day, starting with the quarterfinals into the semifinals and then the finals. And then, of course, yesterday we had the 5K Men on the Run. There was hockey at the stadium. There was football across the island. Last weekend, there was only, 17 goals scored in 8 games. This week, we had 31 goals scored in 8 games. Some really surprising results over the weekend. On Saturday night at the BAA Field, we had Robin Hood beating North Village 3-0.
3-0, yeah, I saw that.
And then yesterday in the Premier Division, you had Somerset Eagles beating Crossroads 3-2. Somerset Eagles scored in the 90th minute to get their first win of the season, the first points of the season.
Interesting.
Devonshire Cougars defeated PHC 3-1. Southampton Rangers and the Dundee Town Hornets drew 1-1. Devonshire Colts defeated St. George's Colts 4-2.
That was a victory for Rangers in one way.
Well, a morale booster.
Yeah,
definitely. They haven't had the results that I think they would be looking forward to week in and week out. Having lost the way they lost to PHC a week ago, the results again haven't been going their way, and they've kind of always been a bogey team for Dundee Town of late at Southampton. So. That result for them would be a big morale booster for them. Looking forward to their next match. So, and then in the first division, it was Boulevard Blazers 2, Social Club 2. St. David's beat Wolves 1-0, and Flanagan's Onions got past. Island Rangers 5-1. So, it was you look at the 6 goals in the St. George's Devonshire Colts game. There was the 5 goals up at Whitehill, 4 goals at Devonshire Rec. So, plenty of goals scored throughout the day. So people would have been entertained. Even they say the 1-1 draw between Rangers and Town was, exciting at times. So, yeah.
Interesting.
We had Tyler Smith compete overseas in the triathlon.
Yeah.
And I believe that triathlon in Spain will end, but it ended the World Cup season. They scheduled another triathlon for this region that was going to take place in Portugal at the end of this month, but they've canceled it. And that event was going to have Erica Hawley and Tyler Smith taking part, but unfortunately they canceled that. Flora Duffy was due to compete in Spain this weekend, but when the final list came out on Wednesday, she had pulled out. It's unknown what the circumstances are, but I'm pretty sure that she had legitimate reasons to pull out of the event. So we're just hoping that all is well. She stays safe, and she's back in the field once the season kicks in again.
Interesting.
Actually, she does have another event in December.
You can see how people are now putting their calendar of events on tap for 2021. The big story today in health-wise, 90% that the vaccine is supposed to be approved, right? So to give another month, maybe. I'm just guessing. I'm not the doctor here, right? A month, 2 months.
They're targeting February.
February. Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. So that'll come under the new government. I just had to say that.
I did it.
I remember he said it was coming out before.
Right. He wanted it out before the election.
Yeah. There's vaccine out for him too.
Ain't no cure for that. Ain't no cure for that.
That's what I'm doing.
Yeah. Ain't no cure for that. Straight jacket.
Possibility.
A room with petted wolves. You know what? I don't need. Yeah, slide the food under the table and let him go.
Yeah. So we'll see. Well, let's take a first commercial break, and when we come back, we will speak to Mr. Larry Cathy Smith, football coach in Bermuda. We'll be back after this.
Inside Sports Talk.
Welcome back to Inside Sports Talk Radio. Joining us in the studio today is our good friend, Mr. Larry Smith. Good afternoon to you, sir.
Good afternoon, Ian and Earl, my good buddy. Good afternoon, sir.
Good day.
one thing I must admit, you do take care of yourself. You know, I know you retired many, many years ago from the police service, and you know, a day older. What's the secret?
Jesus, and then I walk every single day.
Yeah, and more Jesus.
And more Jesus.
All right, I remember
and,
that. I hope it helps me.
Get on a good diet.
Yeah, it's definitely paying off, man.
Glass of flaxseed every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, I don't have to go into detail.
Well, welcome to Inside Sports Talk Radio.
It's a pleasure.
A man of your CV is incredible with football. You've been around the world and back, and you've been in football for decades. Why are you still involved in football?
Football is the easiest game, in my opinion, in the world to play. But I discovered that we were making football difficult. And so I decided to come out of retirement and get back into football, not only in the administrative level, but in trying to be a coach of coaches. And therefore, I became a football educator under the initiation of Jacques Courvoisier.
Right, I recall.
We had a trip over to France, to the various football clubs and football stadiums and everything football. Then we went over to France and also over to Switzerland. And so now that I'm a qualified football educator, I think my responsibility in the Bermuda Football Coaches Association as vice president to help coaches to develop. And so we hold courses now. Jacques used to be the head instructor, but now we have to conduct the courses ourselves.
Right.
And so my passion is really to help to improve coaches as to how to coach a football team.
So you're seeing the change then from the 80s to where you are in 2020. In the 80s, it was more so we came through the ranks of clubs, let's be real, ranks of clubs, and we passed on that knowledge. Then obviously the certificates were required, the credentials were required, which is understandable, but you've gone on and taken that task, made sure it worked for you, and you're passing it back on with that knowledge in Bermuda right now.
That's one of my responsibilities. That's one of my passions.
Right.
To give it back. To give it back. I've seen some coaches that need some discussion, you know, and you can go into people's fields and do anything you like. You just give them a call and you would say, you know, do you think I can come by and look at one of your sessions and we can have a chat about it. And we can correct some things that I think that could be corrected and help your team to be better.
One of your strengths is communication, and that goes through your whole life, and from your profession and police service to coaching. And I think that is an asset within your coaching. Coaches need to communicate, and when they communicate, they need to pass that knowledge on to the players that they're coaching today. I'm not saying that the coaches don't have it in Bermuda, but that's an asset that you bring. Do you share that with the coaches of today?
Yeah, you have to have good communication. If a coach is not in a good sync with his team, then that's the beginning of your problem. Yeah. You can, I hear some guys shouting at players. Well, you're not going to get anything across shouting at anybody, especially if the game is in play. Young people, even the older guys, they're doing the best they can on the field for that 45 minutes. I often take the game. I don't call it 90 minutes. I have it. I want you to give me a good 45 minutes. And within that good 45 minutes, you can actually destroy players. You can actually create havoc in your team if you're shouting at them and if you're pressing at them. I'm kind of like a silent coach. I remember when I was coaching Crossroads last season, I was at a game down Garrison, and a good friend of mine who was on the line came across at halftime because we were down about 4 or 5-0, And the friend said to me, it was a lines person, Larry, you do not coach, you do not give instructions from the bench. And I heard some of your players on the field saying, what do we do? We didn't hear nothing from coach. You know, we were getting beat up. Really.
Right.
And I thought about it. And I went to the we won halftime now, and I gave them a good instruction. I said, guys, I do apologize for not giving you any instructions from the side, but I was under the distinct impression that during our training sessions through the week, that you understood everything that I was asking you to do in the match. I says, I cannot play the game for you.
I see where you're going. Yeah. And that's the difference.
I give you instructions at the training session, and I give you some instructions as to how to win this game prior to us going on the field. But I can't play the game for you. So there's some things you have to work out on your own.
There's quite a bit of I wouldn't call it criticism, but opinions of people across the island now that we have all these considered quote unquote qualified coaches, that the standard of the game isn't where it used to be. Do you think some of that's justified?
Yes. Listen, I quote it this way. Just because you have a license, that doesn't say you know how to drive. And yes, we are qualifying a whole lot of people, but they still have to learn how to really coach. And there's different qualities of coaches, really. You know, I call them, some coaches are, in my opinion, some coaches are field coaches. Like let's use the field coach as like, for instance, the pros. The pros have about 4 coaches on the park. And Ian is doing defense, and you're doing midfield, and this gentleman's doing striker. I'm the head coach, and I just stand and I watch. And then after all you guys are finished, they usually do a scrimmage. And then I come in and I put all those little pieces together.
Correct.
And then we have what I consider to be preparation for the game. In Bermuda, regrettably, we have maybe one coach, maybe 2 coaches at a field. And sometimes it's extremely difficult to coach. Let's say you got 20, 22, 23, 24 guys playing. It's extremely difficult to coach the 25 as a single person. At sometimes you may be coaching attack. And so you're leaving some players out. And if you leave players out, they're going to be messed around, field doing a little pack of nonsense. So, and I think it's time that, albeit that we are amateurs, I think it's time that we take a pro mentality. So clubs need to have more than one coach, even at training sessions.
How do you change that mentality, not just of the coach, because some would say, well, you're going to pay those people. How do we change the mentality of the player as well to mature to where we need them to today?
I think if you give them more attention, you see, coaching, one coach, single coach coaching all these players is extremely difficult for me to give Ian some attention. And then Earl's going to be over there, and Earl needs some attention. But at the moment, I can't get to Earl because I'm giving Ian some attention. If we had more staff on the pitch,
okay, so
we can correct all that.
Right.
Your points are valid. So you're saying then that the focus on the players is not there on the lonesome. I'm going back to the 80s when you were by yourself and you had maybe one assistant, and you preached to 25 players. But those 25 players, some using village and some in the success you had at those clubs, that those players were focused.
Okay. We had a different quality and a different maturity of player in those days than we have today. We didn't have all these guys trying to do all these little fancy things on the field. We didn't have them looking at Messi and looking at, whether we like it or not, you cannot replicate those guys. There's no messes in this country. And so even though there was still one coach, but we were able to get everybody's attention. and they wanted to be in the team.
True. That is true.
And the reason why you coach extremely well in those days, you realize that in those days when I was coaching Somerset, those guys were so hungry to be, they couldn't wait to game day. They wanted to see that 1 to 11 we just finished talking
Yeah,
about.
that's right.
Like we didn't have all those big numbers on our jerseys.
Mhm.
You know, like I want to be in that 1 to 11. Under normal circumstances, you knew who number 1 was,
Right.
but
Yeah.
you didn't know who 2 down to
Right.
10 was.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so those guys came to train, and we still had guys that worked, but they find time to come to training because I want to be in that
If you
1
wanted to be in that 1 to 11.
to 11.
Yeah.
And they train. Today we have guys doing jobs. We have guys come training today. We will not see them tomorrow. And because of the quality or lack thereof, you're being forced to play players that haven't trained this week.
Is that the mentality of I've got to win this week as opposed to I need to build something?
For me, it's about building. Yes, I would love to be, but I want to build a good team.
Right.
And in building a good team, sometimes you have to play with not the starting 11 that you would like.
Right.
You have to play with the 11 that you're going to mature
Right.
into a good football team. Sometimes people have to be left out.
Yeah. I would take 11 committed before I take 11 good players.
Absolutely.
Because the 11 committed is going to do everything you ask them to do, plus more.
Absolutely.
But a lot of times we're finding that because so-and-so is that good, I need to win today because that's what I'm hearing behind me. Not necessarily the executive of the club, but that's what I'm hearing behind me. Fans are saying, why isn't Ian on the field? Right. But it's not your job to turn around and say, well, because he didn't train. I used to tell people, you go answer them why you're not on the field.
And they wouldn't.
No.
They wouldn't. Yeah. But your point is valid and so is yours. And I'm reflecting back on when Earl and I were coming along. You had Southampton Rangers, you had PHC, North Village, Devonshire Colts, Somerset, off the top of my head, that were powerhouses of the late 70s, 80s, right? Those 5 clubs there consisted of 20 players, right? Let's say 20 players each club. That's 100 players. My point, and it goes back to both of what you're saying, committed. Those guys representing those clubs said, I want to play for PHC or Devonshire Colts or Rangers because Somerset is the powerhouse and we want to knock them out. And all those players came to play as a team. I don't see that in this conversation that's happening now. The talent is there, but the commitment's not there. It's going back to exactly what you're saying. You have to groom these players to go to the next level as to saying come in and commit.
Let me ask you this question, Mr. Smith. We saw the transition of our education change drastically, and we also saw our educators becoming younger and younger and younger. Transform that into football, we've seen now our coaches having been teammates of some of the people that they're coaching nowadays because they're younger and younger and younger. Can that be another problem that we see relating to the game itself? Because when we used to play together, we used to do these things, and now you're the coach. You want me to do something that was totally against when we were players, kind of thing.
I think it's very problematic. I believe I don't believe, I see it every weekend, so to speak. It's very problematic for the player now turned coach to have the total respect for the players that he played with, and now he's coaching them. It's extremely difficult. I regrettably, I regret to see that, but I didn't have that situation.
Right.
I didn't. When I coached, I hadn't played with any of the players. When I coached Devonshire Colts, I had played with some of the players, but I only coached Devonshire Colts for about a season after I broke my leg. But we had the greatest of respect because it was instilled upon them by our master coach, Mr. Dane. So
Right.
these guys we were all very, very disciplined. And so it didn't matter who the coach was. They still gave the respect because the upholding the maturity that Mr. Dane left once he left the field. And so today it's a challenge.
Right.
You're coaching friends, and friends will, so to speak, talk and F you off or whatever the case may be, and you do nothing about it. Friends will say, listen, I can't make training tonight. And as a friend, you know, you feel obligated to put him in the starting 11 the next day. I'm sorry, I didn't come up like that. No train, no play. And that's why we can't seem to really play to our fullest potential.
Right. But you have some of these coaches who are aspiring to go further in the local game and be part of the National Academy and so forth. So how does, and you mentioned that you're the vice president of the Coaches Association, how does the Coaching Association support the coaches that want to make that decision but don't feel as if they'll get the support of making that decision, like saying, Ian, you're not playing because you won't train, and you know, and that type of, to kind of be a backbone for that person?
To reach the highest level, I'm afraid that, Earl, you cannot just drop your standards to reach a high level.
Right.
Because if you drop your standards at a lower level, those standards are just going to follow you at a higher level.
Right.
They'll just follow you until you stop coaching. So you have to set some standards. The ultimate for me is, it's a pride for me to have coached at national level. That was my ultimate goal. I want to be a national coach. And I had the opportunity to be a national coach. And I'm no longer in the football BFA coaching staff, but I would assist at any time they call, because I'm really patriotic to Bermuda football, and I'm patriotic to the Bermuda Football Association, and we like to have a good marriage between the Football Association and the Bermuda Football Coaches Association. And so if they call tomorrow and say, can you come and coach one of our teams? I'll say, yeah, I'll be there the next day. I think it's an ultimate, it's the greatest joy for any coach in the country to want to be a national coach. Really.
Well, for what you said, how are you now taking that and sharing that information with Somerset? You stepped in now, you're the coach's director, I think, or player director at Somerset.
Dennis Brown got me out of it.
I thought you were, it got me out of it.
That's my greatest, one of my greatest bodies, you know.
I know.
And Rock says, can you come up and help out during my absence? Because, you know, his absence these days.
Right.
And I said, Dennis, for you, yes. And he says, you just be the director of coaches. You don't really have to coach. And I says, okay. So I try to watch the coaches. Most of the coaches that are at Somerset at the moment, I know the quality because they came under me during getting the license.
Right.
So I can tell whether or not you're doing good or whether or not you're not doing too good. But right now, I believe that Somerset have a nice, good batch, and I know, even if I don't get there, I know what they should and should not be doing. I recently, I think as recent as maybe Saturday or thereabouts, I sent a WhatsApp to most of the coaches as to what the expectation should be, how you should be coaching, and what you should be coaching at different levels. Okay, so when I do get there, I don't want you to see you having little kids doing a drill that an adult should be doing.
Senior player, gotcha.
So I split it up with the age groups, and then I sent them age appropriate theories of coaching. And then the other team, the other club that I really like, and I have a great admiration for PHC. As I'm driving to Somerset, driving back home from Somerset, I see PHC. PHC, I believe, have the most qualified coaches in the island. And they're not just qualified with a license. I think they're qualified with the growing, the growing every single day. And I have a great admiration for PHC.
As recent as last week, they had it's a day of deal.
Yeah, that's right.
That's
right. And she just finished a coaching course, and she scored very highly, and so she has lots of potential. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, I would have been an assessor for most of the coaches that PhD had, and the Somerset coaches. I would have been an assessor for all the Somerset coaches, so I know the. In fact, I know most of the coaches in the island. If they came through the C license, to the B license, I would, in some way, have been their assessor.
Right.
And so I know what quality we do have. There are some guys around here that don't. And just because you don't have a badge, that don't say you can't coach.
Right. I know the association has put that stipulation that you have to have a certain amount of license. If not, you have to have somebody, a mentor of some sort, that works alongside of you. But that still doesn't stop you, that if you want to do it, then there's a way to get started.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Of course. And that's one of my responsibilities as one of the coach educators of the BFCA. And that is that you have access to me. If you want me to come by your field and look at one of your sessions, I will make myself available. So Dia and I talked about it just a few days ago. I said, I want to see one of your sessions now that you just finished the C license. And she gave me her training dates. And I would just excuse myself from Somerset and say, listen, tonight I'm going to watch Ian do a session.
How come, well, let me ask you this question first. How many coaches take that option to have you come and observe their session? And why don't you think more coaches don't do it? Is it because they feel as if they will be shown that they're technically not got it together as of yet?
Well, I don't get a lot of invitations, but I do get some. And I will do the best I can to get to the field. But Bermuda being what it is, man, some coaches have gotten their badges and they think they have arrived. And they don't need anyone to come to the field to share anything with them. And I do not go to anyone's field and walk on the field. I would sit in the bench, and if you see me sitting there and you invite me down on the field, I will come by and say that here's some. I never tell you you're wrong. Here's some things I think that you can do to improve what you just finished doing. You see what I'm saying? If you say that in those kind of encouraging words, you get invited back.
Right. Do you ever say that to kind of an opponent after a game on a Sunday where you're observing? Obviously, you're observing Somerset and their coaching staff, but then there are times, obviously, you're looking down the other bench and seeing or hearing information that sometimes you can, after the game, saying, you know what, maybe you need to deliver it just a little different, and because the ultimate goal is to improve the game, whether it be for you or against you.
That's right.
But it's to improve the game.
I've had that relationship with the guy from St. George's, Giroux. Vance Brown and I just best buddies. And we have a good joke sometimes. I said, I don't know what you're doing. You're doing it well. I think that I'm a good coach, Vance, but share something with me. There's something you're doing that you're doing it well, and he's got that team really playing well, and I'm envious. And he's got some guys there that's really playing good football.
Him and Mark Smith have worked out a combination in that coaching staff to kind of get the guys to do just about anything they're asking them to do. And sometimes they're even playing out of the skin that you say, that wasn't the same player a few years ago or even last year.
Well, I'm going down there, sit on the hillside and see what they're doing.
Paying a bit.
Listen, man. to one day basketball, not only because it's my godson, in my opinion now,
Right.
has lost a bit of weight.
Mm-hmm.
That guy is the best striker in the country right now.
Mm.
And I'm looking and I'm saying to myself, because one time he called me up, he was a bit disgruntled. And I said, no, hold on. He said, go up, I want you to coach me before you retire. I said, well, you better come son. I said, I'm not coming down the rack. You got a good coach down the rack.
Yeah.
I'm not coming down there. But he's found himself.
Mm-hmm.
And I really, really, really would love to coach you
Right.
before he. And I said to him, I said, you know, I can't even get you during the next transfer because you're playing so well. Look like you're content now, bro.
And he didn't deny it. He said, no, I'm fine.
Actually,
His playing.
you could see he's gained a lot of respect for himself.
He has.
And his ability now, he's taking it a lot more serious. And he's, like you said, he's lost a bit of weight. He's gotten himself into some shape. And he's working extremely hard, getting back, getting forward, doing the things, willing to play if it's back to go. Because if you remember, earlier in his career, he would not turn his back on anyone because he's afraid of that contact.
Yeah.
Now you could see it. He's willing to take that knock and take in and hold the ball up and so forth. He's changed his whole mentality about the game, and I think he's brought into the system that Vance and Mark have put in place.
He's brought into something. That's the reason why I've got to go down there. I got to go down to see what they've done there. And the other guy, always liked him, and I think is one of the finest midfield players in the country. And that's Chris
Casey.
Chris Casey would play for me every single day. He would be the starting 11. I'll start with him,
right,
but I'm doing my team.
Right.
and he'll only not be in the team if he gets injured.
Right.
Otherwise than that, Chris will play for me.
Quietly, if you look at the teams that he's been around, he's made a big difference in each and every one of them that he's played for.
Yes. Yeah.
Major impact.
It's a fine, and a fine person.
Yeah.
I like a whole lot about it.
Yeah.
Mr. Smith, we'd like to have you on again. Of course, time is of essence. We have other guests coming on, but you're more than welcome to come back and share some of this knowledge. It's good knowledge.
We never walk alone, so all you gotta do is just walk alongside me and say, "Can you come back?"
See, this is where I chime in. You were walking down that hallway just now, Mr. Smith, alone. Okay. Not even your shadow was around.
See?
Not even your shadow was around.
See what I'm saying? See what I'm saying?
Turned my phone off, all you Liverpool people.
Turned it off. Turned it off.
Earl, you know that invitation also extends to you. if I can make up, right?
Well, I do appreciate, sitting and chatting because, I think what we have to do is take off our hat that says, I know it all, and listen to those who have been down that journey before. And maybe you can just add some of their journey to yours to make you better.
Well, there's some coaches out there, some coaches out there that I did some assessments of, and I could sit down and listen to some of that stuff. As soon as they start getting on the field and demonstrating what they learned in the field sessions, I'm anxious to see them and I'm anxious to talk to them, and and I give them the invitation to call me at any time of day to come and watch them train or whatever, or ask a question. There's some good and there's some good women coaches out there.
Okay. Well, look, we'll definitely be back on before the year is out. All right. I'll give you a whole 45 minutes back. Got some other guests to bring on. But we never walk alone.
Never walk alone.
Never walk alone.
Earl, I'm sorry, but Ian and I never walk alone. Okay.
Ian's gonna walk you out of
it. but you know, Earl, that I still have that great love for you. Okay.
Oh yes. Oh yeah. That would never die. Trust me, that would never die.
But it's a pleasure.
It's always a pleasure having you on, mate. I can sit down and listen to you all day. I mean, you're bringing a wealth of stuff here, right? I mean, you were successful back in the 70s, 80s, 90s, and still doing it to this day. It's amazing. That's what blows my mind. Seriously, I'm being honest about that. So keep up the good work.
Thank you.
All right.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you. We take a commercial break and be back after this.
we now return to Inside Sports Talk Radio. Inside Sports Talk Radio. With Ian Rollins and Carl Mason.
And welcome back. Just want to thank again Mr. Smith, Mr. Larry Khaki Smith, for sharing some insight on coaching and what he's giving back to the community. But it's really interesting, Ernest, that he still wants to share this stuff and still learn.
Yeah.
Right?
You could tell he's passionate about what he
Definitely.
does, and he's always in that calm frame of mind, and he doesn't get too flustered about too many things. And you know, when you have that calm demeanor about yourself, it actually lends itself to other people when they're around and could be flustered.
True.
To calm down.
Yeah. And he has that.
Yeah.
He has that, definitely. But joining us now on the phone is Milford Juju Waldron, who's no stranger. We had him on Inside Sports a couple of months ago. Obviously, the story about the amputation of his leg, he got into a bike accident. He wanted to share knowledge and share what was going on. You know, he's a big sports fan, loves all types of sports. And, you know, when we were growing up, it was Juju running Western Star Sports Club on and off the field.
Yeah.
Good afternoon to you, Juju. Good afternoon, Juju. I'm good, man. How you doing? Hey, yo, yes, we are live on Power 95 on Inside Sports Talk Radio. Just how you like it. I'm good. We just wanted to just give an update on how things are with you. We did a story with you a couple of months ago. And of course, you've been back in the media most recently. So I know we last talked about that you wanted to go around and share information on drunk driving and the severity of it. And of course, just the knowledge that you want to share from your experience to young men who play sports, and then obviously they hang out in the bars and they're trying to say, hey, look, this is not the way forward to be drinking and driving. How are things going with that?
Well, it's going pretty good. Like just one day at a time, but little responding on the response from certain people as far as the articles have been concerned. It's been like really negative type of energy. As far as public, I think a lot of people are taking it the wrong way. As far as like I said on the news the other day, some people was more concerned about the poster was written up and or it really happened. That it really happened one, it can happen 2 and 3 and 4 times. So the posters are live, and they're missing the big picture.
And why you
missing the big picture?
Why you think they're missing the picture? Is it because maybe someone like you of your stature is coming out and speaking on it, which we're not used to having in Bermuda? Yes, we put a flyer up. Yes, we'll do a word of mouth type of conversation. But you're being sincere. You're speaking from your experience, and maybe they're overlooking that.
Most likely, because I'm really here. My stance is right, and regardless of how certain people feel, I'm not going to stop. You know what I mean? I'm not going to stop. I'm going to keep pushing on, but it's just amazing that some people are really taking negative side of such a good adventure and be more concentrated on how the post was written up. Oh, Ross McCall could have done better with this, and it didn't happen once, and who's saying whatever, and the grammar, and the bottom line is, please don't drink and drive. Because I'm literally trying to save people and standards from English. So whereas you would think that everybody would gather around the table to execute. Now I'm not saying everybody, but you would think that most people would gather around the table to execute. It's been studied that whereas more people are, not more, but some people are coming with a negative vibe. So I don't know if it's, I don't even get that deep. If I get that deep, then you get the heaven. But it's just amazing. It's amazing. And if you look at it, like, and it's not even the drink drive, it's the dangerous drive. It's it's the speed, there's this and that. And I said on the news the other day about certain families getting their dreaded goal now. Before we get any further, I gotta set my conversion result to get another thing.
Jeez.
Because that heart's at 18 years old. Come on here. Another one, feisty dust.
Yeah.
Like from a big picture, it doesn't have to be even alcohol related. Just another word fatality, just recklessness on the word. So the stand I'm taking is just on God. It's for life in general. It's an influence. Okay, well, that's what I'm attacking it because that's connected with me. But I ain't stopping, and we all have to take part in this. We all have to take part in this. If the only train you want 3 miles wide, 11 of it is private property.
Juju, one of the big problems that I see in Bermuda is that if a Bermudian is trying to do something positive, it's torn down. But all you have to do is go and get someone else from outside, and all of a sudden it's the greatest thing. We tend to look negatively upon ourselves quicker than we would allow somebody else to come in and be this shining light.
Yeah, because that's conditioning. That's what that is. That's conditioning. And that's what we're used to being conditioned to. Like, speak when spoken to. When spoken to. Sometimes you gotta speak ahead of everybody. Sometimes you have to think outside the box. And I prefer to think outside the box. Is my life perfect? No way. No way. Will my life be perfect? No way. What? I'm concerned about others now. And that's what we all have to do. I heard more talk about the U.S. election and the results over there, I and Y, than the air problems for that here. It's crazy. You mean we, like Trump and Biden, is more important than what's actually happening here? You had a young guy dying, a young lady murdered the other day. And everybody's talking about Biden and Trump. I ain't trying to get personal, but I mean, that's called a spade. You got more people walking around with English charges than English charges.
Yeah.
We got too much influence that's not even hurt, man. Yeah. We need to keep it 100. We need to keep it real. We need to fall in love with each other. Raise her on this island. Raise her on this little island. People call it Bermuda. You know what they call it here?
What's that?
Hughes Island.
Wow. And the
we never begin again.
Juju, why is it that in Bermuda we always wait to the last moment? We always think it's never going to be us, and real fatalities or murders or things of that sort. And I don't wish that on anyone, but it seems that we react when it only happens. And a person like you, who's been around for a while, who's experienced it with the good, the bad, and the ugly, you're sharing your experience, like to say, don't go down this path. Take your time. Yet we're not even adhering to what you're saying.
Because we're not even saying truth. We're not even saying truth. You go to Jamaica, everybody finds Jamaica. You come to Bermuda, we've got 9 different languages. So 9 so many foreign. I'm talking about people that born and raised there. You can have 2 schools, 1 school side by side, public or private. I ain't knocking either one. But certain people sound different. How is that?
Understood. I understand exactly what you're saying. So times have definitely changed on this island for us to come together, but maybe we can start doing this now as opposed to waiting till later.
Yeah, man. Take it serious, man. You have to really take it serious, man. And I'm not just saying this because of what happened to me, but my incident is a wake-up call for me. So some people got to wake up call and just do and go to a bar and do what they got to do for the day. My wake-up call is to get up and make a change. And I'm not saying I'm going to try to make a change for the next year, for the next 2 years. I'm going to die trying because I'm got grandchildren. I have cousins. I have cousins that have children, like a younger generation. And regardless of color, this little island has to come collective. We have to form one heartbeat. We have to form one heartbeat in this island.
Juju, you've been around for, I'm using your club, Western Stars and / Dandy Town for a number of years, number of decades. And you bring a wealth of knowledge from the history of sports to your experience. And you, as we mentioned earlier in the interview, that you want to go around and speak to clubs on this matter. What's it been like for you to even just share this information with your home club, Dandy Town?
But I haven't particularly been at that time like that because, of course, certain things go in and stuff, certain clubs they up and running. And especially my club, the doors are pretty much clear, so we have a gathering on it, but it's not experienced addressing my situation. Well, amongst my friends that's affiliated with them.
Right. Yeah, and what's that been like when you shared that information with your friends who are members of Bennytown / Western Star Sports Club?
It's been good, but you always get good from your friends. It's not my friends I'm trying to attract. The friends agree to disagree.
Right.
I'm trying to reach everybody, man. Trying to reach everybody. And you and I are the security guard like you said in that last interview. What friends? Well, we don't hang out. We don't see each other in the regular, but then we see them upstairs.
True. That is true. That is true.
What we need, and they're not going to see everybody. They're not going to walk and go walks like everybody. But because, like I said just now, but we really need to form one heart because none of us will leave unless we fly out of here or whatever. You can't just drive off of your guy. And it's a small ride.
Yeah.
And all I want my message to do is just be a conversation.
What's it?
Yeah.
Sorry, I cut you off. What's it been like when you and Ross have put this project together? Yeah, you mentioned about the people, the feedback, of saying negativity, putting more focus on the response to the flyer / poster. But coming up with this idea, you and Ross working on this, what's that been like?
Well, it's been good because him and I neither in truth and right. But all we could do is just keep plugging. All we could do is keep plugging. It's not like they have a hotline. So we could get, you know what I'm saying? Maybe we get responses and this and that. They got funny search for money and all that. All we could do is just push the messaging. Push the messaging. Push that. One thing tells another thing. If one language says, if one person decides, you know what? I heard Mr. Walton, I heard you do, I heard Raffle. No, I'm not driving. Mission accomplished. No, I'm not riding. Mission accomplished. By the time I tell one person, okay, listen, man, you're heading off. And they argue with them, no, you're heading off. Mission accomplished. Because it starts at the grassroots and it happens one day, 1 week, 1 month at a time. That's okay. At least it's the start. It be nothing.
Yeah.
I want this to be a part of living in Bermuda where people know that when they come in tourists, whatever. If you already actually if the tourists coming in, what you think? Most of them they are affiliated. Tourist crash, tourist this, tourist that. Half the times I left certain establishments and I'm just feeling nice. We know that. It's just not the locals that leave feeling nice. It's the tourists too. So business is okay. Yeah, it's okay to entertain them, but still have provisions in place where they can have safety. I'm in the process right now. I'm in talks with taxi drivers that's referred to work for free on certain nights. Free for them, but they tell people to sponsor the rides in them. That's what it's like, here, they can get her, be a key her, they bring you up, and they're prepared to pick you up in the morning to take you back to get your bike or your car.
Okay.
And non-profitable.
Yeah. But right. But when we look at the conversation, because obviously it's got to be a conversation held more regularly. We only have these conversations when something drastic happens, and I have to applaud you for starting the conversation even before something happens. I know it happened after your incident, but having the fact that you've gone through something would kind of offer a lot of other people the opportunity to hear your message and take some heed. When we were growing up, that's what the granny, your mom, your dad, everyone said, if you don't listen, you're gonna feel.
That's right. Because let me show you something. If it don't come out in the wash, it come out in the ring. But it ain't until it hits her. It's unfortunate that we have to wait for that. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It's very unfortunate because I don't want this to be. I give you an example. I'm not knocking the authorities, but I don't consider success on arrest. People getting arrested and people getting charged in front of the
I have that number.
and
That's
okay,
where they from.
we
So I
got
can call
14
them back.
people this week. We got
All right.
10 people that
Okay.
next week. We got 9 people that follow me. That's success. That's not success. Success is prevention. I only heard only 2 people this week, only 3 people that week. Oh, that's what? Last 2 weeks, only 1 person. That's success. So that's people listening and people paying attention. You don't want to just take from the people and take from the pockets and turn them in front. The only front of the judge ain't success. The only front of the judge is failure.
Mm. Yeah. Well, we want to thank you for your time. We do have another guest coming in, but we will keep reaching out to you, and we want to continue to allow your message and your voice to be heard through the Inside Sports Talk radio show. And we want to wish you all the best. And as I said to you, what about 2 hours ago? See you on the road.
I just want to say one name to you, Gary, and I just want to tell Bermuda, let's get one heartbeat, man. Let's get one heartbeat on this issue. We got one heartbeat for all sorts of issues, but on this issue, let's get one heartbeat. And I want to end with this. Bermuda, please have some prayers for that family who just lost a loved one. And I'm not saying that alcohol related others are like you.
Yeah.
I'm not going to bite you guys. Let's pray for that family. Please pray for that family. That's all I like to say, Mr. Robert.
Thank you very much, Bootsy. We sincerely appreciate it. And we'll welcome you again on Inside Sports before the year is out. As you know, Christmas is leading up to holiday spirits and things that sort. So we welcome the festive spirit. So we will definitely have you back on.
You know what happens on the festive?
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. So yes, I will be back having you back on for sure.
Okay, not a problem, my brother.
Okay. Thank you very much. You be safe as well, Bootsy. Juju, sorry. We'll take a commercial break and we'll be back after this. And welcome back to Inside Sports Talk Radio. Thank you again, Milford Juju Waldron, for his honesty and his factual stuff, which is so true. And we just wait to the last minute. We can't do that.
You always want to use someone else's experience as a learning tool, and he's actually offering that in so many different ways, and he has to be commended for it because he's lived through something that many people can learn from.
For sure.
And to criticize someone for attempting to educate others through their experience, I think it's appalling at times.
Yes, sir.
And I would encourage him to continue to speak and continue to make sure your voice is heard. And there are people that eventually will listen, and if they don't, unfortunately, they'll feel. So,
No, you're right. Yeah, absolutely.
keep up your good work, brother.
That's right. Don't stop, Bootsy. Don't stop, bro. Well, joining us now on the phone is the Argus Insurance Thrive segment.
Yeah.
But today we have a special guest sitting in. We have Miss Gloria Burgess. She's here on the meeting. So, Miss Gloria Burgess, good afternoon to you. Good afternoon, Miss Burgess. Good afternoon. And how are you today?
I'm doing absolutely wonderful. How are you?
We are fine. We are definitely fine. Just wanted to obviously highlight the things of Diabetes Month, this being Diabetes Month, and we're going to talk about type 2 diabetes. Before we get into it, people who have diabetes, yes, they do the best they can, but those who don't know it and eat a lot of sweets and do a lot of other things that lead into it, just can you give us an update on how can we obviously understand more about diabetes?
Yes, well, as we said earlier, Diabetes Month is November, and it is a chronic life-altering condition that's very prevalent in Bermuda, meaning that there are lots of people who suffer with it. So one of the best things that we can do is to try and get as much education as we possibly can. And obviously this month has been a big play with the media on diabetes, with from endocrinologists, which are specialists that deal particularly with diabetes. And there are other resources in the community, like the Bermuda Diabetes Association, that are available for teaching and education as well.
How important is it for people to once they are diagnosed with it, that they follow as much as the guidelines as possible to ensure that they can continue with a life, but still keep this diabetes under control?
Well, diabetes is a condition where it can cause some concerns from healthcare providers if it's not managed well. And so if it is not managed well, there are complications that can occur, such as heart disease, stroke, nerve damage, and eye disease, just to mention a few. So if this disease is monitored well, then you're less likely to have some of these other developing conditions that can occur. And if the person is educated well and can learn how to monitor their blood sugars, know what to eat, and what sort of things to avoid, and to learn things that will keep them healthy, then they're less likely to fall into the area of these complications.
I need to ask this question. What are some of the signs that someone has diabetes without going to the doctor? They're having these signs and symptoms. What should one be looking for before, in order to contact your physician and say, I need to check this out?
Yes, certainly. Some of the signs that a person may experience are increased thirst, running to the bathroom to urinate a lot, blurred vision, just feeling generally unwell. So those are a few of the things that a person might notice. So it's good to know about that, so that if they do experience any of them, that they can make a little visit or discuss it with their family physician.
And what about support circumstances? Because there are some people who get diagnosed with certain things and they become very fearful. But having a support system around you, one that can kind of go with you to the doctor, make sure that they're like a coach for you. How much of encouragement should that be pushed as well?
Absolutely. A good support will really help the person tremendously. I mean, having any kind of disease or condition can be a little bit scary, but when you have that support person in your corner, then it doesn't make things quite so fearful for you. And some of the things that a person can do as a support would would be to go along with the education classes to learn about the condition, as well as the actual diabetic person, learn about nutrition. Food doesn't have to be, as we used to think, distasteful for a diabetic. There are lots of different very tasteful recipes. And of course, the education is very, very important. So if both persons can be educated at the same time, then that is a tremendous support. Being upfront with the person, trying to be as positive as possible. Yes, diabetes is a chronic disease, but we don't have to, make it be so negative. So that a support person really should be very positive and say things like, you have this condition, but we're going to make it. You're going to be fine, and I'm going to be here right in your corner to help you. I'm going to go with you to the physician. I'm going to, if you would allow me, so I can help take notes and, remind you of, some of the things the doctor has told you. And it's things like that, being that accountability partner without being a nag, of course, but just being there for the person, inviting them to ride with me. I'll take you to your doctor's visit. Things like that can be extremely supportive for a diabetic, especially if they're a newly diagnosed diabetic.
Right. You also mentioned sharing the education. So therefore, for a person who wants to know about low and high blood sugars, how can a friend or family member help a diabetic person experience a low blood sugar?
Okay, well, sometimes persons with type 2 diabetes do experience a drop in blood sugar. It may be because they didn't have enough to eat, or they didn't eat on time, and this can cause them to feel sometimes sweaty or shaky. So if the support person has attended the education classes, they'll learn the signs of both low and high blood sugars and what to do to correct them. So, for example, if the person and the support person are going out for a meal, one good thing would be if the has a few crackers, or maybe a little sweet candy, or maybe a little orange juice, just in case any of those signs I just mentioned show up in the diabetic person. So this treatment can actually help raise the blood sugar very quickly, and it's especially important if you're going out and the meal is going to be a bit delayed.
That's important. I understood. Don't go anywhere. We have to take a commercial break. It's going to be for 30 seconds. And we have a couple more questions I'd like to share with you. So don't go anywhere. Don't hang up your phone. We'll take a commercial break and we'll be back after this. And welcome back. As for exercise, we know exercise is important, and it's a balance with nutrition in today's world, balancing and exercise. How much exercise is important for a person who's diabetic?
I'm glad you asked the question. Exercise is important, even for persons who have type 2 diabetes. But one thing I would say is that it's first of all important to check with the physician just to make sure that the person doesn't have any restrictions. But once you've been given the okay, there are lots of exercises a person can do to keep them healthy. And I mentioned the accountability partner, so the support person can help them by exercising with them. Things like walking, swimming, and I know the temperature's getting a little bit lower now, but some people like to swim all year round, so it can still be done. And the target is really to try and get at least 30 minutes a day. And this time can be split up. It can be maybe 15 minutes in the morning and 15 minutes in the afternoon, or if you're really energetic and want to do the 30 minutes, then all at one time, then that's a great thing. And just to add to that, exercise is proven to help increase energy, to lessen any stress, to lessen the development of any other illnesses. and also to help to maintain healthy blood sugars.
Good points there. One thing that is challenging for everyone, and this is as I was listening to you, is that in the summer, when it gets hot, we tend to go to sweets like ice creams or yogurts, sweet yogurts or cakes and so forth. With Christmas festivities coming around the corner, we tend to have the extra desserts and so forth. So how can we maintain that during this Christmas festivity coming up in December and going into the new year?
Well, again, I would say that with having a support person, it's really important to remember that the support person is not there to be a nag, but just to help the person. Now, you mentioned the holidays, and of course, we have an overabundance of food and alcoholic drinks, which can be a big temptation. So, one of the things that I would suggest is maybe have the support person say, "Oh, I'll dish you up your food," because it's really difficult when you have all this plethora of foods, macaroni and cheese, rice dishes,
I have been at macaroni and cheese.
potato, and
I'll be
all of this.
honest.
So,
My daughter's
if the
24.
support person has been
20
in the
years.
education classes and can remember
I was getting
the
sick from
amount
the
of
back then.
food that a
And I was
person
just like,
or the amount of calories that should be measured for a person, and can offer to pick up the food for them, then that's a great thing. Sometimes a person can stray off a little bit, as long as I remember not to keep this every single day, because if given the wrong kinds of food, this can all um, you know it can all affect the blood sugar
That's
level.
true. Yeah. Yeah, those are some good points there. So we definitely have to take this into consideration with the holiday festival coming up and into the new year. And there's some valuable points that you share with us. Is there anything you'd like to add that we did not ask?
Well, first of all, I would like to say thank you very much for the opportunity to speak on how we can be of help to a person who has type 2 diabetes. And secondly, I just want to inform and remind the public about the Drive Case Management Program that exists here at Argus. This program is free for Argus members and supports members and their families who need help with navigating any kind of chronic diseases like diabetes. The nurse case manager, which is myself, one of the many roles I have is to provide support through assessing and monitoring, and also providing education for the patient and the family. And sometimes one of the things I do also is to collaborate or discuss with the patient's physician. As you may know, sometimes patients don't always feel comfortable to ask questions with their doctors when they're there, but they might tell me. So then that would be an opportunity for me to be, as we call, an advocate. And also, one of my roles is to liaise with other healthcare professionals in the community, like the Bermuda Diabetes Association for a type 2 diabetic. So if anyone wants to find out more information, they can contact us through email or phone. The email is drive.nurse@argus.bm, or the phone number is 294-5745.
Ms. Burgess, look, we want to welcome you back one more time before the Christmas festivities, because those points are very important. I think we need to share it not just in November, but also in December. And we'd like to have you back on just before the Christmas festivities.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We're going to take a commercial break. And again, thank you for joining us today. We're on Inside Sports. We look to having you back on in December. So we thank you all night. Thank you very much for that. We're going to take a commercial break, and we come back. We speak to Mr. Clifford Roberts, man on the march. Man on the road.
Talk Radio. Inside Sports Talk Radio. With Ian Rollins and Earl Mason.
And welcome back to Inside Sports Talk Radio on this Monday, November the 9th. Joining us in studio now is Mr. Clifford Roberts, the organizer, the chairman, just about everything. Man on the Run.
How you doing?
Man on the Run 5K yesterday. Once again was well represented, although there's always room for more people.
Yes.
But
yes.
It came off under some wonderful conditions. It would appear that most, if not all, would have enjoyed themselves.
Oh, definitely, Earl. Definitely. I mean, first of all, I just want to thank each and everybody, every person, male, female, that came out yesterday to assist and participate, whether it was in the physical or the virtual acts of Man on the Run. I mean, we couldn't have asked for a better day. All weekend, I heard people talking about rain. Yes, I heard people talking about rain. See Ian's face, like, what?
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
So sunshine and the forecast said sun. Well,
You know
Yeah.
what? It takes me back to the Gymkhana. Remember those days and
Yeah.
Earl was talking about, oh, it's supposed to be raining?
Yeah.
I never planned for rain.
there you go.
I never planned for rain. When you start planning for it, it happens.
Yeah.
So yesterday we were blessed to have some wonderful weather. I arrived at work today, asked some of the guys in the office, and they loved the event. They really loved the event. And I was very tickled by the event yesterday. Honestly, I went in goosebumps.
It was funny because on Friday, in a conversation with a group of people, they said they had completed their virtual walk.
Yes.
And it was like, you did?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Because they said they were busy on Sunday, so they done the walk.
Yes.
And they were sending it and uploading it and all that as instructed. So I was like, okay, all right, well.
Yeah. The event this year, it was well received. COVID, we had COVID,
Right.
but I mean, it wonders to the event. A lot of things that the committee we talked about Saturday when we was giving out the gift bags, how we're going to change things.
Right.
You know, because of COVID, it made it even a lot easier. It just made things a lot smoother.
Right.
It's not like we had issues or concerns or challenges, but everything just went like beyond 100% perfect.
Right.
You know, I was very happy yesterday. Very happy.
I could tell because after you packed up everything and then I saw you out on your bike ride.
Yeah, I went for a 3-hour bike ride yesterday.
3 hours.
Look at his smile on his face. He's starting out his ride. I saw you on Howard.
Yeah. I mean, yesterday this event just, I mean, I was just reflecting as I was riding my bike, and I just stopped when I got into St. George's, just feeling the warmth that I felt from seeing. I mean, you saw it from the beginning.
Right.
To see these 7-year-olds run out of that gate of Work Academy, I mean, these little boys, they were sprinting. Don't trust me.
You probably could beat me.
You know, when we talk about leave it out there, I was at the finish line when the second place junior 7 to 10 came in, and I'm gonna say this on the air. I mean, he really left it out there when he left it out there. I really was a little worried.
Right.
You know, we might have to go St. John's.
Right.
But he left out there, and you know, instructions: go get some water, relax, put your mask on. I mean, everybody adhered to the parameters that were put into place. It was unbelievable. They came, they started with the mask. They were caroled like little animals.
Yeah.
In the days. I mean, they followed all the instructions necessary to make sure that the event went off extremely well. And that's all we got at the end. And as it was going on, that the event was well organized. So I must say thank you to Ezri, if you're listening, Lucy Monkman, Allison Dodd. I know you're off the island, but you may be listening overseas. Terry Durant at Bartolina and Vallis. You know, with everybody, the team at Bermuda Timing, they all made everything so much easier yesterday.
I know there was some concerns about the waves in which they went off, which I think once people understood that once you cross the start line, regardless of what time it takes your time from that.
From the time,
so,
of course.
And they were announcing that, okay, the times are up, but not your placement.
Yes. Yes.
because obviously they have to wait till the
Yes.
last person comes in
Yeah, definitely.
and then recalibrate it, and then you found out where you came. So
Yes.
I just think some people were overthinking things too much.
Yeah.
Let the people that do this on a regular basis do it, and
Do
you
your
go
job, yeah.
do your thing.
You just go have your fun.
Yeah.
Go walk or run
Right.
or whatever you want to, you know.
Right.
And you could see it in the guys' faces. I mean, it was extremely exciting to watch.
Yeah.
It was extremely exciting.
I know there were quite a few that were excited when they made that left-hand turn to come into the
Oh,
gate.
yeah.
It was all over.
Oh, yeah. I was teasing a colleague when I got into the office this afternoon. I wonder if he's listening. Because I had to do a little check on him as well beyond the finish line.
Right.
And everybody was going. Yeah. But I mean, overall, it was a spectacular day. I have to thank the sponsors, AXA. I mean, they did a wonderful job by ensuring that we had the funds necessary, as well as Polyfield and Bellis. And again, my hat goes off to the side sponsors that donated prizes or made a little financial donation. Without all these entities, this event couldn't be what it is today, right now.
Right.
Which means hopefully next year it can be even better. Because I mean, after our last talk, my mind's clocking. My mind was thinking about what we're gonna do for 2021.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. A quick question, because
Sure.
I heard you say it, that you were going to have the virtual prize presentation. When is that planned for?
Actually, we're not going to have the virtual prize presentation because of COVID. Again, we had to make some changes.
Right.
So we actually did the raffle prizes yesterday.
Okay.
And they were announced. They were added to the AXA website.
Okay.
So you go on Race Day World, you
Right.
see all the raffle prize winners, as well as the age group category winners.
Right. Okay.
So,
okay. Yes.
I got it. Yep, I'm ahead of the game. I see you guys looking. Yeah. But you know what? I'll tell you one thing that really, really excited me as well. During the event, I did a quick interview with Macy O'Deal at the Department of Youth and Sports, and he asked me about diversity. And what I really enjoyed also yesterday was seeing we had some Special Olympians there.
Yeah.
Tyreek, I don't know his last name, and Chris, young gentleman by the name Christopher. These guys came in their jerseys, and they had some of the support from the Special Olympics.
Yes.
And funny enough, I asked them to volunteer at the end, so they were all like, I don't remember the last name of the young lady. Maybe Miss Showers. I could be wrong with Miss Bascom.
Bascom,
I believe it's Miss Bascom. But you know, Ian, like they came to support the athletes, but they also came and volunteered last minute.
Right.
And they were so happy to assist. And you know, I have to thank them as well. Because again, this just means this whole event about supporting one another, that's what it's all about.
Right.
Yeah.
Supporting any time of need during prostate awareness,
Right.
as well as just being a part of the event. You know, if that means holding up a flag, if that means stopping traffic,
Right.
if that means giving out a water bottle, or turn off the numbers at the end of the race, which is what they did. And I have to thank them for it, because they didn't have to do it. No one had to do it, but without each and every volunteer, these events just can't go off.
Yeah. It's good to see, you know, some of the guys that took part yesterday had run the day before in the cross country, but they were willing to sacrifice that because they done a 3 mile 3 mile on the Saturday, turn around to do another 3 on the Sunday. But this one, well, I mean, both of them were challenging, but just to see them in support, you know what I mean? Because like you say, they don't have to do it.
No, not
but
at all.
the amount of people, the walkers that you know, walking around and smiling and you know, hey, listen, you're gonna start that course a little different, man. You start with that brutal, you come off of Morgan Drew, you turn left, hey, you start walking up here right by West Academy Gate, and you don't finish until you pass 4 years. But hey, guys, because they saw me with the camera, they were smiling until the minute you hear them walk. I'm like, you still got a long ways to go.
They're saying it's all on the way up.
But fast and steady.
Well,
and slow and steady.
Listen,
slow and steady.
You got to remember, some of these guys who going past the date,
the
date, still think they have it and go out real fast. See?
But see, that's the whole reason why we have these non-competitive categories, which that's again, it's all about and you saw it yesterday. From the time they got to the the school grounds,
Right.
the Work Academy. Again, thank you, Work Academy, for allowing us to use your facility. Again, without you, again, another, it couldn't happen.
Right.
Right.
But to see these guys walk into the grounds, they're smiling, they're chatting with each other, and full well that they don't know everybody that's there.
Right.
But at the end of the day, I guarantee you, each and every one of them met somebody new.
Mm-hmm.
They got to find out their name and maybe a little story.
Right.
And this event is about, like I mentioned it earlier, I've mentioned it numerous times, the support you get from somebody that you don't know travels a long way going forward.
Right.
And for prostate cancer awareness, which is, I mean, just yet, I feel speechless of it.
Right. Right.
It really meant a lot to see these guys just there participating and being involved and spreading the awareness.
Right. There was a gentleman, he had on a white shirt. He said he's a cancer survivor for 4 years, prostate and all.
Right.
But he was willing to tell every and anybody his story about how it took him a while to go and get checked.
Yeah.
And his glad finally he did, and he's able to still be around to give other people the encouragement to go and get it done. And that's
what you
another
need.
matter. As we were talking to Juju earlier, they're speaking to someone who's lived through it, who can actually now give you that advice that, hey, maybe you just need to wise up just a little bit.
And it's just small steps.
Yeah.
Everything we do is all in small steps, which creates a bigger picture. And I just really enjoy this event. I enjoy thinking about what we can do to make it better. I enjoy seeing the kids. We have the Gymkhana. It's like just to see the kids there and they want to be involved. I mean, that means a lot, because I'm gonna say this. After the event, again, I know he's listening. Llewellyn Trott, one of my good brothers. All right. He sent me a message after the event and said, Cliff, I took my grandson's breakfast yesterday and they wanted to know what the actual race was about.
Right.
These were like 9, 10-year-olds. He sat down while he's eating breakfast, told them about the event and what the cause was, what it was all about.
Right.
After breakfast, you know what they did? They went home, went around the neighborhood and raised funds for the event. They raised $50 for the event.
Right.
That $50 can go support another person, financially. So we're starting out at 9, 10-year-olds, because remember what I said before, I mentioned it to you guys before. Prostate cancer, we can go back to testicular cancer, which actually starts at the age of 9. So these guys already heard it. They're learning it. So they know what it's all about.
Right.
So as they get older, they will continue to participate in this event, encourage their mates to come out next year, and in any other event that has a cause, and I think that's what it's all about. It's about education.
That was going to be my next question is, the event is over now. How much are we going to still share this information? Yes, you're still doing a great job of spreading the word and the importance of it, but let's just say 4 months from now, which would be February, March, right? How much men will still take that initiative, which Earl had stressed earlier, that we wait to the last minute on various things, not just this, but we'll take that initiative to say, let me get a check.
Yeah. I can't even answer that question. I honestly can't. What I can say is that I know for me, that I go to work every day, that I go to other events like cycling, I speak to the guys, we could just, general conversation about cycling, swimming, anything. But I always talk about health at some point of that conversation, and I encourage them. I mean, in our office, we try to encourage the guys that even when they're working, and I encourage them wholeheartedly. Look, if you want to go to the gym for an hour, just go. And not just the guys, but the ladies as well in the office, because it's about your welfare. It's about health. So come 4 months from now, I hope that each and every guy that was there yesterday is still doing it. They're still spreading the word. Makes no difference how small that word is.
Right.
Small words have big meaning.
Yes, they do. Yeah. Well, I applaud you as you continue to thrive and share this information.
Yeah.
And health is important. As you were talking about that, and Earl and I have said this many a time. one thing that lacks is that when we were growing up, because we're around the same age, is that the advantage of having it in primary school and
Mhm.
high schools,
Yeah.
sharing fitness was a plus. As you know, the education system changed, so phys ed wasn't a priority.
Hmm.
I think that if they bring that back in place, people will understand it even more at a younger age.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
know?
most definitely. And again, I mean, after yesterday, I think a lot of it had to do with the way how everything was so organized. The waves made a huge difference.
Yeah.
It made a huge difference in just seeing the mothers and fathers on the side just cheering them on.
Mm.
You know, they got to see not this big lump group of
Like
guys just
looking,
running out
looking,
and
looking.
looking. They got to see their 7 to 10-year-old running out the gate.
Mm.
You know, they got to see the wave one, which would have been, so we can call them the elite runners.
Mm.
And then as each category went, everybody really got to see the significant other
Right.
and just walking through the gate, whether it was at the start or the
Mhm.
finish. And the atmosphere and the sunshine
Mhm.
and the clapping and Mr. De Silva at Bermuda timing, I mean, all that pulled together,
Yeah.
it just made the event so wonderful. I mean, you missed it, Ian. I'm gonna tell you, you missed it. Dawn, you missed it. So I will
I was
see
on
you.
the exercise.
I know.
Yeah.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
I got a smoke message from Karen. So I know you was out exercising. Is no doubt about it. You know why I know? Because you've taken it on as well.
Mm.
Oh, yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah.
I know you guys have taken it on, and
Yeah.
that's important
Yeah.
because you're gonna spread the word as well.
Oh, brother, no.
And I will spread it, Earl will spread it, and everybody that's around us will keep spreading that healthy living. Go get your prostate check. Go get your health screenings. Go get your blood, your cholesterol check. You know,
Everything.
everything that needs to be checked,
Get it
we
done.
will encourage it.
You know, and just saying that, you remember, you recall a couple of weeks ago, almost a month ago, when the flu vaccine came out,
Yeah.
and they were having the traffic jam up Warwick.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
If everyone took, when they were having health screenings, free health screenings, if
Yeah.
they took it as serious as they took that,
Hmm.
half the problems will be eliminated.
Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But again, it's about awareness.
Right.
So we need to ensure that we spread that awareness of what we need to do, just the little things and staying healthy.
Mm.
I just want to go back to just thanking without AXA, Axel, and Butterfield and Dallas, and all the smaller businesses that provided every bit of donation. And last but not least, the volunteers.
Mm.
I mean, I may have mentioned it earlier, but I'm gonna say it again. Volunteers. I mean, guys, ladies, particularly, we have our volunteers staffing is comprised of many females.
Mm.
So that just goes to show that like it's not, although it's a male only event, we have women that are out there volunteering their time for us guys.
Mhm.
So give back by showing up.
Yeah.
You know, so I want to
Sure.
thank them all. Thank them all.
Cool. Anything you'd like to add that we did not ask?
Well, I think we covered
2021?
just about
Everything.
just
2021.
2021. I mean,
There you
guys,
go.
just spread the word now
Mhm.
and let's get involved early. Get involved early.
Cool runs. Thank you very much for coming
Thank you
on
for
board
having
and
me
sharing.
again.
Hey, it's a pleasure, man.
Yeah,
You're welcome anytime.
appreciate it.
All right.
Thanks.
So we'll take a commercial break. We'll be back after this.
Inside Sports Talk Radio. Inside Sports Talk Radio. With Ian Rollins and Carl Mason.
And welcome back to Inside Sports Talk Radio. It's been a very entertaining day.
Very much so. Very, very much so. It's been enlightening. It's been educational, and for me, it's been a joy because although we talk a lot about sports, to hear some of these messages, it kind of brings you back down to understand that sports helps out in so many different ways.
Definitely. From the diabetes to the prostate cancer. It's so important and to acknowledge it and accept it and be a part of it.
Yeah.
It's funny is that I remember just talking to various people over the last couple of years, right? And they said, "Wow, I like to exercise." And I said, "Well, why?" "Well, then I gotta change my diet." And the point was that the food is not gonna be the same. You wanna live, or you wanna go the other way.
Yeah.
But the mere fact is that you still can enjoy the food.
Right.
You can still enjoy it.
Yeah. There's ways to
to
spice it up.
It is. It's
Yeah.
not like 15 years ago, whatever, how long it was there. They always find ways to improve and still enjoy it.
But you know what, Ian? There are places in the world where they can only eat
Plant-based.
plant-based food because they have to eat what they grow,
Right.
and they make the most of it.
And they enjoy it.
But we have choices.
Yeah.
And that's one of our major problems, that we have too many choices.
You know, it's funny, and again, goes back to us being around the same age. And we were growing up, and I could be wrong, but I remember just from growing up here in Bermuda, we only had like 1 or 2 fast food restaurants.
And
I'm not down on the fast food restaurants of today, but I'm just saying the choices.
Right.
So a lot of the food that when we were growing up was done at home.
Yeah, it was
your
cooked, yeah.
mom cooked it, or your grandmother cooked it. Now, I went for a run this morning,
Right.
and I'm not considering a ram, but I looked at the store and it said up to 4 a.m. in the morning. Right?
See, we've been from it. The concept was fast food, but it was also convenient.
That's it. The convenient part.
Yeah,
that was
convenient.
We didn't
because
understand the
I just want to
severity behind it.
walk in, grab something, and run.
Right.
Not thinking that because they cook in or prepare in volumes, what the easiest thing to do is to get it bulk, unhealthy. Most of the time, it's unhealthy, and put it out front. And naturally, people just walk in, walk in, grab, and go, kind of thing. So you're not even consciously thinking, "Oh, I just walk across the salad bar, but I see this right here, and this is what I'll take, and I'll go."
It would take me 3 minutes to put a salad bar together, or salad, excuse me, and then I can go and order this. Would take me 30 seconds to a minute.
It's all about convenience, man.
And what's in it? And what's in it?
Yeah.
Why do you think they put the chocolate bars next to the cash register?
Oh, that's a given. And that's been like that.
Chocolate, chips, everything that is not good for you is next to the cash registers.
Because you know why? You can go down the aisle and just continue going on the aisle.
Right.
When you check out, it's right there. You say, "Well, I'll just take one."
Let me just get one.
I'll take 2.
Because you're standing there waiting your turn.
Yeah.
Cashier's, bringing up your food. You look across and say, "Wow, that snack is so good." Man,
Calling me.
Yeah. The Cadbury.
True.
You like Cadbury?
Yeah, I do.
And you're not taking one and say, "Okay."
Yeah, it's so true, right?
Yeah.
But it happens, and that's around the world.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
not,
definitely.
That's not Bermuda.
That is a learned behavior to ensure that those things move off the shelf.
Yeah. That's why
by all stores.
What I try to do is get all my snacks from a health shop or protein bars or something like that. So,
Right.
But anyway, look, man, it's a pleasure.
Yes,
You guys
sir.
enjoy your holiday on Wednesday, November 11th.
Oh yeah.
Soon to be saying December 25th. Thanks for joining Inside Sports Talk Radio. You guys enjoy the rest of your week.
You too.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us.